Welcome back to another story time, and this story time is about the first time I gave plasma. Now, this one is a little bit of a deeper story. It's not, obviously, the best experience I've ever had in my life. It kind of sucks. It was a low point in my life. And with this low point in my life, it was something that I hadn't had a phone in 2 weeks. I had 6 or 7 different job interviews and places to be that I had to follow up with. I had just been at a job fair the night that I had gotten my phone stolen or whatever, 2 weeks before. And so, this was around the time when the movie Ocean's 8 had come out in 2018. Basically, when I had my phone stolen, it basically put a dent in everything that I had lined up for myself. It basically sent me back a couple of months. This is within the Dacco trilogy that I'm going to be working on soon. The Dacco time that I was at Dacco for about 6 months roughly. This was towards maybe the first 2 months of me already being within Dacco, I think. So I think that's what it could have been. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. And so with all of that happening, basically, I was at a point where, after I got my phone stolen, on the same day, I had just been to 6 or 7 different job fairs, everything. I had so many things lined up for myself, and so I was doing everything I could to go and try to get another phone or try to figure things out for myself and get money enough to basically get a phone plan and a phone again. If you've ever known about Metro PCS, Boost Mobile, Cricket, they're all basically prepaid cell phone providers, and they're pretty awesome. So you just pay $50 or whatever for every month, and you basically have unlimited data, text, everything. It's really awesome. So with that, you can basically do a lot of stuff with that. And so at the time, Metro PCS had 4 different phones that you could use or get for free when you came to them with either switching from another carrier or whatever it is. But it does require a certain amount of money anyways to come onto them. And so when I was having this happen and I was able to sign on with them, I went and did plasma that day. And during this day, I was basically dehydrated, even though I would still be drinking sweet tea and water and eating pretty well enough, I guess, for myself. I'd be having lasagna, spaghetti, ravioli, type of stuff like that. So I guess you could say my eating wasn't all that great. I guess you could say I was on food stamps for a short amount of time. So yeah, that wasn't too bad either. Eating potato chips, stuff like that, just terrible eating basically. And so with that happening and how that happened, the day that I went to do the plasma, plasma is something that's in your blood or whatever. There's a lot of people, basically, I could say, in the homeless communities in certain places. If you know about plasma, it's essentially the same idea of giving blood or certain different types of things with dealing with I don't know if sperm donation counts as that, but I guess if that's another thing that you can do to earn money, then there's day labor. There's certain things that you can do to be able to earn money and stuff. So that's some of the things there that kind of starts out with some of that stuff that people try to do, whether or not if it's day labor, plasma, donating blood, whatever it is. So for me, I wasn't I also too wasn't like the only person for donating plasma. The first time when you do plasma, they give you like $75. But then like every 5 times you come. So it kind of has like this pattern where it's like 75, 50, 50, 50, and then 75 on the fifth one. And then when you get to the 10th, it's another 75, but then in between, it's all 50s. And then when you get up to about, I think it's 50 again or something like that. Like once you get over 10 or something, there's some like pattern to it. Once you get over 10, I think they do it based on your body weight or something, is how much they give you. So it can sometimes go as low as like $25 at times, and you can only come so many times within a month or a week or something. I don't exactly remember everything about it, but you know there's specific requirements and this and that type of things that go into it. The first time you go, you gotta wait like five. You gotta wait like about 5 hours. You gotta go through a training. They go through a whole slew of stuff, and it is one hell of a pain to go through. And it's a lot of, I guess you could say, poopiness to deal with, honestly. It's a lot of like medical like questions, medical history type, just a little bit of everything all mixed in. It was just a bunch of craziness. Being on the machine with a needle in your arm for at least, I think it's like close to like an hour or two. Oh my god, it's like pain shivering. It is crazy. For some people too, um, you kind of have like these bigger veins throughout your body, and they run through your arms, sometimes your leg, and all that type of stuff. Where the skin is thinner and stuff like that. And so they try to find a spot like on you. So where your arm bends, basically near your elbow area, is where your thinnest amount of skin kind of would be, I think. And so that's one attachment point on either side of the arms. And then I think they can possibly do the leg. I'm not totally sure, but I know that's one of the two spots that they'll do. And for some people too, if you're not careful with all this type of donating plasma stuff and blood giving or whatever, you can actually burst veins and pop them to where you can't even have proper delivery in and out of it, because there's a cycle to that. When you're on the machine, the machine takes your blood, it does some spinny matron stuff, and then it separates the blood from the plasma. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it. It's some really scary stuff to be like describing, and everything that goes into it, and it's some pretty crazy stuff. There will be some people in these places that are absolute masters of this stuff, and the whole game of the whole idea of it is to keep your um, blood moving, I guess you could call it, but at certain intervals and stuff. Like you kind of have to, they'll give you like a squeezy ball for your hand, keep the blood flowing in a certain motion. You got to be kicking up in the air, basically, kind of keep your legs going. Um, if you want to go down this route, you can probably, maybe look at some, girls on your phone, maybe, but you got to be careful too, because I've heard that, like, let's say you get an erection or something, um, you want to be having the focus of your blood flow on your arm mostly, or wherever the blood is coming in and out of. And so if you redirect that to a different part of your body, it can absolutely kind of mess with you and kind of fuck with your rhythm and flow of things in your body. So if you're not careful, that can happen too. Sometimes too, they might put a mask over your face. That can happen. If you got too many distractions going on. But then also too, you got to fight with not falling asleep. I've heard. If you go to sleep on this machine, for some people, there can be times where if you're falling asleep, you kind of slow down your rate of your heart and things like that a little bit, so that it's easier for you to sleep. Because let's think about it. If you're in the thought and the pumping of blood when you're running versus when you're trying to fall asleep, you want to be in a calm state instead of in adrenaline upbeat state. So there's a lot of science that goes into a lot of this too. They'll prick your finger before they do anything. They'll have you watch probably like a good 30-45 minute video about the whole system. They need at least I think the right fraction is they need like 1/3. So if you're thinking about a quarter, they need at least 3/4 to at least give you credit. And so for me, I just barely made that, and I ended up feeling super tired. I ended up feeling super like tired for like about like I feel like I think I was tired for like 2 weeks. I just felt like somebody completely ultimately sucked the life out of me. I felt like somebody had just stolen my soul, and it literally took so much out of me. Like, I feel like my skin literally turned transparent. It was an absolute crazy experience. I literally had like polka dot hands and stuff. So I could, so like when I ate food, the polka dots would go away on my hands, like they'd be like chicken pox, but just on my hands or whatever, and I could see like the spots, like on my skin, like go in and out, pulse and change colors from time to time, and whatever they would go blue and red and all these different types of crazy colors. Like I'm not trying to say like green or purple or anything else too crazy, but it was just crazy. My skin was turning like transparent, like I could see into my veins and not into my veins. Like it was so crazy, such a crazy experience. The whole polka dot hand thing, like I'd eventually get to a point into the state where I would see nothing but just red dots on my hands, and it's basically the equivalent of it looking like I got pimples on my hands. Oh my god, it was some crazy stuff that I was seeing. I felt like I was able to see germs on my hands. It was so crazy. It was just a wild experience, honestly. It's something I would never want to go through again for myself. Um, so yeah, I mean, literally when I got off the machine, looked and felt so stiff all over my body. It was so crazy. It was such a wild experience. For them to even use your plasma, they need like at least like 2 jars of your stuff. I think that's like a law or something. So I never went back to them after, like I think there's like something about you gotta come back either the next day or come back within a week or 2 weeks or something. There's some type of grace period. So for that, it was kind of pretty crazy of something that I experienced. I would never want to experience this ever again. It was such a crazy, scary experience. I got $75. I went to Metro PCS and I'm like, yo, I got the cash right here and everything. Because I don't think Metro PCS will accept like prepaid cards or nothing, so I had to use like an ATM, and then all I can pull out of the ATM is even amounts. So all I could pull up out was like $60, and there was like $75 on the card, so that's what I did. So pretty much, I ended up giving the other rest of the amount of money to somebody else because I didn't care and I couldn't pull it off an ATM. So yeah, and so I mean, it was pretty crazy. I finally got a phone. Uh, I had lost all of my connections from the job fair, everything. It completely set me back by a month with everything that I had lined up and great opportunities. I could have been working at Spectrum, I could have been working at Dish with their advertising division for graphic design. It's going to get paid like $14 an hour or something, stuff like that. So I mean, I literally had so many like things set up at the time, and I was kind of hoping that I was going to be able to get something out of it, but after those 2 weeks of me not having a phone and all that type of stuff, it really put like a wreck in my advancement in trying to find a job. Because once you hear about a job, you need to jump on it as soon as possible. So there's that. The facility that I was at, Dacco, they do have a cell phone, but if those people that you would call to try to call back, then they're gonna be like, Dacco, oh, we don't want to work with this person, and then it looks bad, and then the facilities location was basically what do you call it, like the facilities type of location on maps. If you put it down, or the cell phone was basically blacklisted from computers. So if you put down an organization or a place for trying to get a job or something, then kiss your chances of getting a job working for you. So definitely try to get yourself a PO box. So even if you're in transitional housing, you're still able to have a place or have a facility to receive mail at that you can check. Because if you don't have a place to receive mail, and the place you have to receive mail is at one of these organizations and it's blacklisted, and you're trying to receive a check or whatever it is, then it's basically very difficult to get paid, very difficult to apply to jobs, all that type of stuff. Try to have your own phone, all that type of stuff. The easier it is for you to be able to have your own phone, is basically your ability to be able to get employment through some of these things. You got to be persistent. You got to check up on them. You got to call them back. You got to put in the applications in person. Go on their computers. Do whatever you have to do. Say, hey, come to that location a lot. Shop, buy from there, all that type of stuff. Do whatever it is that you can to be in their face all the time. And the more that you can do that, the better it is for you to be able to maybe get that job there or something. You got to be there all the time, shop there all the time. You got to, have them recognize you and be like, yo, I'm, about this place. I love it. Whatever you got to do, kiss their ass, whatever, all that type of stuff. So, if you got to make up a story saying your family, once worked there or something, whatever, but you didn't know their name or something, you didn't, have that credibility. I've heard of people doing that and getting jobs like that sometimes. So say, yeah, some cousin of my family has had a job or something at Publix. I don't remember their name, but it's kind of like be like it's far out in the family tree, but at least it's in the family tree or something. So that can work, I've heard. So there's a lot of things that when you have to go through the consequence of trying to get some quick money, but then it comes at the expense of your life. Have your life higher over anything else. Make sure you're always eating or drinking something. Even if you're just eating something, then you can always drink water, even though it's not great. It's something. whatever. Our bodies are water anyways, but, having sweet tea, Gatorade, whatever else is just, something that is just, it's a luxury basically. So that's kind of where that's at. Make sure you always pay your bills. If you have any, like your phone bill too, that kind of comes second. Your life is always first. And then after once you first do your life, then you can worry about everything else like that. Make sure you always got something to eat. Make sure you always got something to drink, and stuff like that. And, the better that is, then, always have food in the fridge, always have cereal or, pasta as a backup or canned food, something. One of those three things, or maybe all three of those things. If you're into ramen, when you have to have it, have it on deck. Doesn't hurt. I mean, I've never had it. I don't know how good or bad it is, but it's there basically. Make sure he's got some type of bread, PB&J or something, so you can have that. Have things for having salads sometimes, stuff like that. Yeah, so that's kind of where that's at. So, yeah, this is definitely something that, if I had to give plasma again, hands down, I would never do it again. I'd rather go and do day labor than, have to go and, dealing with plasma. Because at least with day labor, at least you can sign up with it. You don't have to worry about transportation. You can always get transportation through their vans or the other workers helping out and whatever anyways too. And all that type of stuff. So you don't have to worry about having equipment. All you have to worry about is just having jeans, boots basically, or black shoes, something, hard hat, really simple stuff, vests. Sometimes I'll just provide the vests, all that type of stuff. And construction, you don't gotta know much. Hammer nails, put boards together, dig ditches, whatever it is, stuff like that. So, that's where that's at. Have proper hydration, water all the time, and you basically will have day labor in the bag if you can do that. And it's about anywhere from, I've heard, $100 to $50 a day, and stuff like that. So if you've done day labor a lot, and the more you continue to do it, then you'll rank up a street cred eventually to the point where you literally are basically having to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. So the sooner and earlier you wake up and you get to the place and you get there before everybody else, you eat properly, the better it is for you. And if you got a little bit of cash on you, or you got some food stamps and there's some gas station around where you're working at, you can always use that as a way of, having some food. You don't always have to pack food for yourself if you don't have to. So that's basically some ideas there. But that's what I've experienced, and it's something I don't want to have to go through ever again. And so that's where that's at. And hopefully this has kind of helped you with things like that, and stuff like that. And one thing, and why I sometimes suggest day labor, or I talk about it in general, is that construction is always something that needs done, and there's always basically demand for it to some way or another, because they can't ever sometimes ever get enough workers, or sometimes there'll be times where they'll just have to just up the price just enough that they can get enough workers to complete a job, and stuff like that. So sometimes, sometimes it can work. Sometimes, if, let's say, one worker messes up something, sometimes it can sabotage it for then everybody else. So you have to think about not just yourself but others too, and the company, and stuff like that. It's kind of like staffing, so you gotta think about that too sometimes, and that's where that's at. And so that's what some of this stuff is about, and hopefully this is some suggestions in that, if you're ever in that situation, think about stuff like this sometimes. And it may not be the best situation, but at least it can help you with staying alive and getting you through whatever situation that you're in. So don't really resort on plasma unless you're a well hydrated and well kept person. And if you're at a state of where you can keep yourself together enough that you can do it properly, because if you don't go with if you don't basically help yourself in a right way, that when you go to do it, if you're like me, you'll end up trying to hurt yourself, and you could also to end up dying on a plasma machine. It's not great. So be sure to think about these types of things, and hopefully my experience has helped encourage you not to really think about plasma as an option for totally always having to get along, or having to deal with trying to resort to it all the time, because it's not something that is healthy, and it can hurt you in the long term. So that's what I got, and hopefully this was enough of a, I don't know if the word is life lesson, but an experience. And thank you so much for listening.